first rental property that I bought, I still have that property. I bought that house for $35,000 and I didn't really do any work to it. That house right now is worth $240,000 and I just allowed the asset to do the work. But fortunately for me, I didn't do any of those 10-year term loans because, like, a lot of the times the interest rate was really low back then, and now people are renewing and the interest rates are high, and they're like, oh, this sucks. But I mean, you owe less, so that's great.
Welcome to Burning the Ships podcast, and I'm your host, Jason Seward, and today we have Martine Richardson. How are you, Martine?
I am doing amazing. I am so happy to be here with you, Jason. You are so well respected in our community. You are a wealth of knowledge. So I am so happy to be talking to you and your community today.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, but this is about you, Martine, and you are those things as well. So you feel, I mean, heck, I was aware of you before when I was still in my corporate career and, before we went like full time into real estate, just because of your reputation of more than anything else, just helping people. Like that seems to drive you. And that's what ultimately connected me to you and folks like Lori Eubank and, stuff. And I know you guys do a lot together. But we've been talking, gosh, for several months now about getting you on this podcast. So I'm glad we finally have you here. So what I'm going to do, Martine, I know you have your hands in a lot of stuff. So I think it'd be fitting for me to just turn it over to you, let you introduce yourself, kind of your story, wherever you want to take that, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I've been in real estate for 12 years now. And this year, actually, officially, I celebrate 10 years full time. So I was doing it 2 years, and 10 years ago, I went full time. Not by choice, by force. So let me tell you a little bit more about that. I was in real estate, like I was learning about the things, reading the books, going out and doing the things, talking to the sellers, all of that stuff. And I cared more about this because I realized that this was going to give me my freedom more than my job. So, like, if I had the opportunity to talk to a seller or do something at work, I was gonna go talk to the seller. So,
Right.
like, it's not like I was wrongfully terminated. I was
Right.
terminated because of my actions, for sure. Not the best employee, for sure. But yes, 10 years ago, I actually was fired from my job. And when that happened, I just remember saying, I gotta go all in. It's time to sink or swim. Like, I've already been doing the things, getting these properties under contract. I need to go all in with it. And that's exactly what I did. And I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it and say, like, oh, it was roses and rainbows. It was amazing. No, in the beginning, it was tough because if I didn't work, I didn't get a check.
Yeah.
So, and I still needed to live. So I had to hustle, and sometimes I wanted to go get a job, and then I'm like, no, 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 let me stick it through, let me stick it through. And I'm just so thankful and so happy that I stuck it through. And like, I specialize in buying rental properties. Like, that's my bread and butter. I love buying properties I can keep and rent out and let the asset do all the work for me. And I got my first rental property by accident because I would just go in people's houses and I would talk to them and they wanted to sell. I'm not just walking in random people's houses, but I would always ask them, "Do you want a cash offer or would you take payments?" And most people said they wanted a cash offer until I got the guy that said he wanted to take the payments. And at the time, I didn't even know what take the payments looked like. I didn't know how to structure the
Yeah.
deal. So I had to figure those things out on the road. But I'm so glad that guy told me he would take the payments because that totally shifted the way I did investing. It made me realize that rentals were the freedom in this. Most people that you talk to that are established, doing well in real estate, they have owned rentals at some point because it provides a solid foundation for you to do the other things in real estate. So I stand I'm gonna say 10 toes down on buying rental properties. I coach people now on how to buy their first rental property using little to none of their own money. And I'm so passionate about it because it just feels good to be able to show someone something that you learned that worked for you, and then that starts working for them.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you're right about like we that's where I started in real estate as well, just by accumulating rental properties. Now, I did have the luxury. I had a relatively good paying W-2 career, so I was able to kind of funnel that money, that capital into rental property, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it was the foundation. Now, you know very well, and I'm sure you educate your students on this. You're not going to get short-term wealthy off of rental property. That is
Mhm.
like you're building equity. It's an appreciation play, because one rental at a time. I don't know if you know Michael Zuber, but that's kind of but doing it that way, like cash flow, you need a heck of a lot of rentals to have enough cash flow to replace that W-2 income. So I'm curious, as you said you were kind of forced to burn the ship. Your ship got burned for you almost. And I've
Yeah,
heard,
I was planning to burn the ship, and then they burned it. I'm
right.
like, "What is this?"
But there had to be, I'm curious, like, what was that? You had to go out and hunt, is basically what you're saying, and buy rentals, but buying them as rentals, not flipping them, that's not getting you that short-term money, that medium-term money. So what was your source of active income early on when you were making that transition?
So, I first started with wholesaling.
Okay. All right.
So, and I had read a book about how you could get properties under contract and you could sell those contracts and you could make big chunks of money. I had never heard of that before reading that book. And I'm like, "Wait, you can use like, somebody else can use their money to buy the property and I can make money off of that?" So that's what I would do for the active. But I did have a job at a point
Right.
before I got fired
Right.
because I was doing it 2 years with, my job. But, yeah, I was doing wholesaling, but then I think I just got creative in terms of buying rental properties too. Like, I would do different types of structuring. So sometimes maybe I would do like a lease option where I would get a huge chunk of cash up front and then I would get the cash flow. I would buy more than one house at one time. So I would have a lot of cash flow coming in instead of a little bit of cash flow. And then, I mean, just quite frankly, when I first started, I didn't really have anybody dependent on me. It was just me. I didn't have a husband. I didn't have any kids. Like, it was just me. If I didn't have any money and I just became homeless or something, I would just go stay with a family member. Like, I didn't really have a lot to lose,
Right.
to be honest. I was just, relying on myself.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to bring in a ton of capital, but I did do things that were like, in my eyes, smarter so I can get ahead. So I really reduced my living expenses. So at one point, I bought my first house that I bought was a 6-bedroom house. That I lived in. And people are like, "Why do you need a 6-bedroom house? You don't have a family." I'm like, "I'm renting out the rooms because I'm living for free."
Yeah.
So I house hacked that. And then, like, I used to drive a beat up car, so I didn't have any car payment. Like, I didn't have a lot of bills. So it just allowed me to accumulate and focus on buying rentals and accumulating cash flow. And it just has created so much freedom for me. So that's why I like to, yeah, it takes a while to get it to where you need to be, but it's so worth it because you are just allowing the assets in the background to quietly make you wealthy while you're just carrying on doing more and doing more. Or you could not do more if you didn't want to, but it's just I like what it has done for me. I like the foundation that it has laid for myself, and that's why I'm just so passionate about spreading it to other people as well.
Yeah, I love it. One powerful thing about rentals, I actually haven't talked about it much on this podcast, but over time, that principal pay down, they're all going to have some form of debt most of the time, where they should. If you have them free and clear, you need to leverage it and pull some cash out. But
Mhm.
as you're paying down that principal, and I don't know if you've experienced this yet. We certainly have recently, but early on, we had a lot of mortgages that were like 10-year terms, 5-year terms, and we're paying them down aggressively, but we had to refinance them when those maturities came, and we were so leveraged so low on those properties when we went through those finance refinances. There was a lot of tax-free capital that came from that, like big
Right,
chunks of capital. Have you been able
right.
to experience some income through that as well?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like that's one thing I need to actually talk more about because that first rental property that I bought, I still have that property. I bought that house for $35,000 and I didn't really do any work to it. That house right now is worth $240,000 and I just allowed the asset to do the work. But fortunately for me, I didn't do any of those 10-year term loans because, like, a lot of the times the interest rate was really low back then, and now people are renewing and
Yep.
the interest rates are high, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, this sucks." But I mean, you owe less, so that's
Yep.
great. But I did a lot of DSCR loans,
Yep.
so my interest rate is fixed for 30 years. And I have refinanced some of those again because I'm like, wow, it's a lot of equity in here. We can still cash flow. Like we can use this money and put it towards another investment. So yes, I have done those things, but I haven't been in a position where it's like, oh, I have to do it because my interest rate is
Yeah.
changing.
Yep. So as you get again, you were forced out of your job, you start hustling, you're getting, and you mentioned earlier at the time you didn't have a lot of um, dependents. You didn't have the children, you didn't have the husband. So that has evolved. So talk about where things have evolved to. You got a beautiful family now, and how have things changed over the course of the last 10 years.
Yeah, so I'm just thankful that I did what I did so early. I started when I was 25 in real estate. And because I started when I didn't have those responsibilities, it just put us in a really good position. So now I'm married. I have a daughter. She's 3. If we were talking in the afternoon or in the evening, she would be ruling the house.
Yep. I get it.
She's my boss.
Yep.
But because of those decisions made earlier on, it allows us to live a lifestyle that I didn't live when I was 3. Like we're able to go on vacation once a quarter, and enjoy ourselves. Like to the point where this is funny, but I dropped her off at her school, which is daycare, but at her school, and we told her teacher, "Hey, she's gonna be out. She's gonna be out next week because we're going on vacation." And she says, "You're going on vacation again? Do you need a nanny?"
Yeah.
And we're like, "Yeah, it just makes us work harder doing those 3 months because we know we have something to look forward to." And, like, I like work and I enjoy doing what I'm doing. It's fun waking up and be able to talk to Jason,
Yeah.
today and, get to connect with people, see how we can help each other. But, I mean, we live a pretty ordinary life, but it's just that we have a lot of freedom. I
Yeah.
say that we have a lot of freedom. We do choose to do, work and do things because I mean, we're young, we're active, we want to go out and make a difference in the community and stuff like that. But we just have a lot of freedom. And one thing I actually don't really mention this on podcasts, but you made me think of it when you asked this question. I'm a part of a Rotary Club, and Rotary is we just give back to the community. We do different community service projects and things like that. And I don't think I would be able to have the time to do that if I worked a traditional job because, like, for instance, yeah, I have my business where I'm coaching people to buy rental properties, but I'm a financial coach for someone that's trying to change their circumstances. Like they're living off the government right now and they're trying to stop living off the government and they want to make a name for themselves. And I'm able to volunteer and help people like that because I have this freedom, I have this time freedom that I don't necessarily have to work, I get to work.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm gonna come back to this in a few minutes because you've said the word freedom no less than 10 times so far, man, in 10 minutes. So I'm gonna come back to that because I got some more to say there. But I want to go back to you mentioned your 3-year-old daughter and how you as a 3-year-old that wasn't the life you experienced. So I asked one thing I find I've done over 200 interviews at this point, and there's a very common denominator with a lot of my guests. They did not experience the lives they're living now and whatever you want to call it, success or freedom, whatever. They didn't experience that in their childhood. And because of that, that shaped them in a lot of ways and kind of built a foundation through adversity. I don't know what your childhood and what your early life was, but if you weren't taking vacations every quarter or whatever the case may be. I had, financially, my childhood was rough. My dad wasn't around, all those things. Everybody has a young story that I can like personally look back on and say that built me, but
Mhm.
mostly who I am today in all the good ways.
Right.
Your 3-year-old daughter is not experiencing that. She's going on
Right.
vacation every quarter. She has a mom and dad that are present and providing this unique but great life for her. So how do you balance, or what's your perspective on like teaching her how to handle adversity in life as she becomes older because it's not coming naturally to her?
Right. That is a great question because that's something I think about. I'm like, well, I don't want her to grow up to be a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
Like, I want her to be able to, work for what she wants. So, something that I do with my daughter, and I do this with myself as well, is every morning we say affirmations. Like,
Mhm.
she's 3 and she has her affirmations
I love it.
memorized. And one of her affirmations is, I do my best because I want whatever she's doing, I don't want her to half ass it. I want you to do your absolute best with everything that you're doing. So that's one thing. 2, she's really into like she likes sports, but she's like 3. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like,
Hadn't figured it out yet, right?
but like we're a very big like sports family. Like we really love football, we like basketball, and it seems like she likes these things too. She cheers when we're watching football. She likes to go kick the soccer ball.
Yeah.
She wants to like she was in swimming classes and she wants to learn more about swimming. So she likes those things. So I think that that will help her as well. But also, I wanna just, like, let people know that I'm learning as I'm doing this is my first time ever being a parent, like, I'm the oldest child, so I kinda have a little experience because I used to have to, like, take my brother everywhere, but, I'm learning, and then one thing I have noticed as well is within my coaching community, I'm like, "You guys are really helping me in parenting, whether you believe this or not." Because, like, I'll tell them to do something and they won't do it.
Right.
And then they'll get the result that they didn't wanna get, and I'm like I'm not gonna be like, "Well, I told you so," but I'm like, "Oh, so what happened?" "Oh, well, maybe you should try it this way next time, the way I originally told you to do it." But I just noticed that it's helping me in terms of, like, when I'm talking to my daughter, because you have to be patient. Like, people are gonna receive things in their own time. But yeah, I don't have all the answers, but that is something that I, do think about. My husband and I, we do think about because this is very different than his childhood too.
Yeah.
Like, he made a joke about, he was talking to his sister, and he was like, "Show the kids the type of vacation we used to have," and it was like nothing. Like, it was like a gift doing nothing, twiddling your fingers or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So, it is different for both of us, and we just want to, learn along the way. If you have any advice, I'm definitely all ears.
That could be another hour, and and a lot of my advice is advice I've received and trial and error. But I mean, my kid's a little bit older. My daughter's 14, my son is 9, but it's something that's top of mind to me all the time because
Mhm.
they, to your point, like I don't want to. If we have the ability and the flexibility and freedom and the resources to provide things for them that I didn't have and my wife didn't have,
Mhm.
why are we going to deprive them of that? Like the
Right.
spring break, why we go places, we do fun trips, but we have to do that while also being able to build some perspective in them like this. We got to be grateful that we're able to do this and we got to share these blessings with other people. But my daughter and I, we have, these are kind of like 3 rules that we say are our family rules for all of us, but especially her at 14, she's in middle school, just trying to figure everything out. But we do hard things on purpose. Like that's one rule.
I like
Um,
that.
this one, and we say it this way for anybody this offends, I'm sorry, but we figure shit out. Like
I love it.
whatever it is, we're gonna figure it out, and we always have a good attitude and give max effort. Those are the
I think
things.
we're about to add some more
Yeah,
affirmations. Might
right.
take the shit out, but
Right, yeah, and it's just like, at I mean, you know what it was like, especially being a 14-year-old girl in middle school. Like, there's always something that's huge going on in your world. Just figure it out. Like, figure it out, approach it head on, do the hard things, but have a good attitude and give max effort. And those things, I think, just trying to drill that in their heads, and my son as well, same thing. I think that hopefully will help build a foundation as they grow up. So, yeah, yep,
Yeah, I think so because at the end of the day, like we're gonna be the little voice in their head
yeah, right,
when they're going through tough stuff or
yep,
like they're second guessing something.
that's right.
So it's always great to have those foundations,
Yep.
set in stone inside of you.
Well, Martine, I mentioned earlier, you've said the word freedom a bunch. So the Freedom Inc., that is that's your baby. So that is your coaching platform, your community. I'm in the Facebook group. I see everything going on. I'm gonna say two things, and I'm gonna open it up to you to kind of promote it and talk about it. But one thing, everybody that gets into real estate or entrepreneurship, at some point they have this itch to start a community, right? Like to influence others. And I think it's great. There's some people that are gurus that, probably are doing it for the wrong reasons, but you have something that's very unique. I've never told you this because we haven't really met or talked that much. You have an energy and a tone to your voice that makes everything just seem fun. That's like, and I'm serious. Like, and I would imagine, like, if you were coaching me on something, even if it was a hard conversation and you were having to say, like, "Hey, I told you to do this, you didn't do it, and you got the exact results that I thought you would get," but you somehow are probably able to do that where they feel like you're still being fun and kind and all those things. And that is that something that comes natural to you? Did you recognize that as a skill that you had that probably could help people, or where did that come from?
Well, I think I'm naturally a positive person.
Mhm.
And I think my positivity probably started as a child. Like, one reason I have affirmations with my daughter now, and even if she's only 3, is because my mom used to say things to me that I would just believe.
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, when I would go to school, she'd say, you're really smart. You're gonna make those A's. Like every day. Like that's all she didn't say, oh, well, it's okay if you make a B. She's like, no, you're gonna make those
Yeah.
A's. Right? So I went to school and I made A's and like I just think if my mom would have been like, you're really not that bright. You're kind of dumb. Like, you're dumb just like somebody else that's dumb. Like, I probably would have been like, oh, well, I'm dumb. So why even try that type of thing? But I think things like that just made me a really positive person, and, now that you're pointing it out, I do recognize it in myself. I wouldn't say that I recognized it before you saying that, but, like, for instance, someone in the fam, that's my, paid coaching community, they, had to go to eviction court because they bought a property with the tenant in, the tenant's refusing to leave, and they gotta go to eviction court. So, if this is your first time going to eviction court, you're, like, panicking, "Oh my god, I gotta go to court, I don't know how to win, I'm sca" like, all the things, right? And I'm like, "We're going to eviction court, this is amazing." And she's
Mhm.
like, "What? This is not amazing, what are you talking about?" And I was like, "You're gonna learn how to win." So if you're in a bad situation, like I'm always finding the positive in anything that I'm doing. So yeah, when someone does something and like I told you to do it this way, but you did it that way, you don't get the result. I'm not really a I told you so type of person. Maybe I will say that without saying that,
Yep.
but I'll just try to course correct to get you to where you want to be. But no, I think just overall, like I really just enjoy life. Like we get the opportunity to be here and to do what we want with our time. Like I just remember I used to work a job. I used to work as a at a private equity firm and I was a financial analyst. And that I mean that sounds amazing, but I really did not like the job. And everyone there was complaining about how we gotta be here and how this and how that. And I'm thinking to myself, why don't you just quit?
Yeah.
If you hate it here so much, why don't you leave? And I think that's why I was so passionate about doing something for myself outside of the job because yeah, I hated it there too, but I wasn't complaining about it.
Yep.
I was making a new way for myself. So I think just overall, I just enjoy life. We get to do what we want to do with our lives. And when you realize that and you really tap into that power, that's when you really get that energy of, yes, I get to go do this today. Instead of, I gotta go do this today. Like, I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like I have the opportunity to do all of these new, exciting things and enjoy the things that I'm doing. So I just try to, I guess, pour that energy over to other people because you're learning something new, especially like if you're buying your first rental property, you're learning something new. It's going to be scary. You don't know what to do. You're going to have a lot of fear come up. You're going to be like, well, what if this happens or what if that happens? So I just want to help you become as comfortable as you can while you're walking on this journey that you don't necessarily see the end of the tunnel yet.
Yeah.
So I like to just pour that over onto people.
Well, it's contagious for sure. And I know, like I don't know all of your community, but I would imagine you have some pretty good testimonials coming out of it
Yeah.
just from your influence. And if nothing else, it's just like that. I mean, you provide accountability, I'm sure, but
Mhm.
it's those affirmations you were, I mean, like just, people, this is a tough business to be in. And it's important to have somebody on your side that can pull you out of that. Oh, here we go again. And then, well, that, unfortunately, most people, whether they're naturally born that way or they're just curated to be that way because of the environments they're in, that's how most people respond to everything. Is just, oh, what, like
Right.
it's like anxiety riddled, just everything's gonna fail, and
Right.
you bring a friend. You're meant to do what you're doing, I can tell, so I appreciate that, so,
I appreciate that. If you don't mind, I wanna just share a little short story because I
please.
know, like, we're crunching for time
Yep.
here, but I it's a guy that a client in my community, in the fam, and when he first started, like, I'm saying, "Hey, you can buy rental properties using little to none of your own capital." And he's like, "Yeah, right, whatever. Just show me how to make a rental property." Like, he wasn't believing.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that. He wasn't believing. And I would say, "Well, how did you structure the deal?" He'd tell me how he structured the deal. And I would say, "Well, why are you putting money down? Like, why didn't you structure it so that you didn't have to put any money down?" And he said, "Well, everybody I talked to said I had to do it this way. I do this, this, and that. And you're able to get that because you're Martine. Martine's able to get that." And I'm like, okay, if you say so. So he was still doing deals, but he was just doing it his way. And I'm proud. You're making progress. You're doing the best with what you got. When you're ready to receive what I'm telling you, you'll do it.
Right.
This guy recently, he hasn't even been in that long, like, I think it's been a year maybe. Recently, he closed on $1.2 million dollars in rental property, so it's already rented, he has to increase the rents. But 1.2 million in rental properties, and he said he structured the deal without using any of his own money. And I said, "Now you have arrived."
Right.
And he started with not believing me. He's like, "Yeah, whatever. That's what Martine gets because you've been doing this for so long." And I'm like, "No, it's because I position myself in a certain way. I position myself like this and I talk, I do these things and I'm telling him to do these things, but he just didn't believe before."
Right.
So that was like, for me, that's like a parenting moment. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, look at my baby. He did it.
I
He
love it.
did it.
I think that's a great testimony too of what you got going on. So, where can folks find out more about Martine, your community, your paid program, all of that? Do you have a website we can steer them to?
Yeah, well, I want to steer everybody to go to my free Facebook group because I feel like you just get a taste of everything. Like,
Okay.
for instance, we have an event coming up. We do events once a quarter that are in person, and they're fun. All we do is network and talk and have a good time. And I see where you are, see who I can connect you with. So it's all fun. It's no like somebody coming up there with a boring speech. Nobody trying to promote anything, none of those things. We're just trying to see how we can help. So the best way to get in touch with me or just to find out about the community is to go to my free community. It's called The Freedom Inc. It's on Facebook. I think I can send Jason a link so you
Yeah,
can
we'll
click
link
it
it. We'll link
directly.
it in the notes. Yep.
Perfect, perfect. But
Cool.
yeah, that's probably the absolute best way. You'll find out everything from being in that group.
and this will come out after this your event coming up this week. But at their like this coming event, you're doing Margarita Thursday or something like that. So it's like these aren't just boring events where you're going to sit at a table and listen to three or four speakers. This is a networking event to get to know people. So I think Martine, you're doing it the right way. I know we're a little crunched on time, so I just kind of want to wrap things up here. Martine, you kind of told folks where they can find you through the Facebook group. Do you have any kind of like parting advice for folks that are listening? And let's talk to the folks that are kind of the makeup of what your students are. They're wanting to get in, they're hungry, they just don't know the next step. They might be in that W-2 career, or they might just getting started in the real estate space, but give them some advice to run with.
Okay, so I love it. I'm gonna talk back to where I was when I first started.
Okay.
I remember when I first got started into real estate, I was doing the things. I was talking to the sellers. I would send mail. I would, do what people were telling me to do that would give me the results, but I wasn't getting the results. And it left me in a place where I was like, does this even really work? So what I did was I tapped in. So I started listening to podcasts like Burning the Ships. I started going to monthly meetups like Dealmaker. And I would just start hearing and being around the people that were doing it. Now, what that did for me was made me hear the same story over and over and over and over again. These people were making money off of real estate, no matter how they were doing it. But it would be this person would be doing it, then this person, then that person. And I'm thinking to myself, it's no way everybody's lying.
All right.
Like, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm at the meetup, everybody's making money off of real estate. Why isn't it working for me? So, the advice I want to give people is you have to make a decision. When I made a decision that I was going to continue to do this until it started working for me, that's when it started working for me. So that means if you, like, I used to get paid once a month. So I would mail once a month to distressed sellers. And the first month I sent something, I didn't get anything. The second month I sent something, I didn't get anything. The third month I sent something, I ended up getting 5 houses under contract. And I would have quit the first month if I didn't make the decision to keep doing it until it started working for me. So get around the people that are doing it, make a decision to continue to push through, go the route that you think that you need to go until it starts working for you. The path will be revealed as you start the journey.
I love that. I'm not even gonna add anything because I think you articulated that perfectly. So, Martine, thank you for your time today. Thank you for joining me on Burning the Ships. I know we talked a little bit before we got recording. We've got the Deal Maker podcast getting ready to start rolling here in the next month or so, and we're gonna get you back, and we're gonna get real tactical on a couple real estate topics a little bit later this year. But again, I appreciate your time. I'm so thankful that our paths have crossed, and like you started off with, like I'm new to the Richmond community. I'm down here in Hampton Roads, and it's been within the last year or two that I've kind of tapped into that market, and I'm very thankful for the people I've met, including yourself, along the way. So
Likewise, likewise. It has been a pleasure. I hope your audience got some value out of this episode.
I have no doubts about that. So Martine, you have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Burning the Ships. I want to give a special thanks to our sponsor, 608B Capital, helping real estate investors secure fast, reliable funding to fuel their boldest moves. If you're ready to take your investing to the next level, visit 608bcapital.com to learn more. If you found value in today's episode, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but it also helps us reach more people who are ready to burn the ships and commit fully to their goals. And don't forget to share the episode with someone who needs that extra push to take bold action. I'll leave you with this. Burning the ships isn't just about removing the option to retreat. It's about unlocking the courage to charge forward. No matter the odds, the past is behind you and the future is yours to conquer. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on Burning the Ships.